Hello Scrappy Peeps, Suzanna here today to share with you this layout created using some Spellbinder goodies as well as the Holiday Wishes collection from 49 and Market. So I have my Spellbinders hot foil machine here, and I have this plate that is the sealed swag. So I'm working with the sealed collection and I'm getting my paper and foils ready. So you want to make sure that you heat your plate, and so you are waiting for that solid green light at the bottom there. Then once that's on, you can put your foil, your paper, and your plates, pick them up without sliding it, and then run them through your manual die cut machine, and voila, look at those amazing wreaths. So the swag actually comes in two pieces, as you can see I removed there, and I put them together so that I had a full circle instead of just the swag. It also comes with a sentiment, which off the top of my head I don't know what I have. So then I'm using the leftover of my foil, the negative, on a solid plate and running that through, and I'm going to get another wreath, only this time I have the negative. I'm going to fussy cut all of those because they do not come with metal dies, cutting dies, and so I now have on my manual die cut machine there a couple of the other bits of the sealed collection. So I have the flowers, the leaf sprigs, and then I believe, so that's what I'm using there. And you can see in the top left corner, I have fussy cut some of those wreaths or swags to create, they almost look like doilies, and then I've already cut a few of these leaves because I went through a bunch of them, and then I did some mixed media work. So this video is longer than my normal videos because I am showing you a lot of technique. This is a fairly technique heavy process video. So for the flower dies, you have flowers that come with that, and so I am using the solid green from one of it's the B side of one of the pattern papers from the 49 and Market collection. So doing all of my die cut work before I start to assemble things. So now I believe I'm going to go ahead and run through some more of the leaves, and at some point I am also going to use some other dies from Spellbinders. Actually, on this particular video, I do not use the holly sprigs, but you could absolutely use the holly sprigs. So I'm going to do some of my dies, the greenery, the sprigs that I'm creating. Some of them are going to be mixed media, and some of them are going to be solid cardstock or the B side of pattern paper. So I have here some watercolor. And I'm literally just using a water brush and picking up the watercolor, watering it down on the palette there, and then just swiping that over. And I'm not worrying about full coverage because I like the gradations of colors that I can get with that. Now, originally, I thought I was going to use the sprig itself, the actual stem of the sprig, but because I end up tucking this into what ends up being a swag at the top of my page, I do end up cutting a lot of those off. I have also used another Spellbinders die. It's the poinsettia, so it's multiple layers of the poinsettia, and I did cut that out of the B side of watercolor paper, basically, is what it looks like because there's gradations of color, but I've added additional color to that just for some depth and variety. So now I have one of Ranger's or Tim Holtz's Distress Mica stains. I believe that is fresh balsam, so I'm going to spray that and then set that on a piece of scrap paper to dry. And so it adds a really nice shimmer to the leaves there. Again, for just gradation of color and depth of color, for some visual interest, because you also are going to get that mica shimmer from it. So this is the same mica stain, only that is Merry Mint. And so just adding some fun color and texture to the page. Cleaning out my mat because I've used all of my green things. Now I want to put a little bit of color to these poinsettias. So those are the layers of the poinsettias. So you want to make sure when you're done using these mica stains that you wipe off the nozzle so that it doesn't get stuck. You also want to make sure, obviously, that you shake it and you get that roller ball at the bottom going. I'm also dipping it to get an extra depth of splash of color. And so that was the tart cranberry that I used. And then I have these little flowers that go with the sealed flowers metal die. And I'm going to use a fourth color. I have a hard time getting the ball moving on this one. And this is Cocktail Party. So it's more of a pink, and it's a very vibrant pink, but it does add a really cool pink shimmer to those red flowers. Again, for just a different depth of color. So now that I have all the bits and pieces, I'm going to set those aside to dry and come back and assemble everything. So that was all of the mixed media work. You can see I've used a couple of other Spellbinder dies, and I've got some holly wreaths as well as just other greenery bits. So I've used some of this collection already, and so you can see where I've already cut into it. And I'm not using a lot, just little bits and pieces of that for this collage of two pictures of my son decorating the tree and then my daughter decorating the tree. So that card that says holiday decorating there is a digital file from In a Creative Bubble. And I really just liked that blue, that splash of blue. It goes with my son's shirt. Even though it's green, it's kind of a greeny blue. And it just adds a fun, different color to the palette that isn't traditional Christmas. I try and do that if I can. So I am going to use this green B-side to house the photo as well as the journaling, but I really liked that truck. It just, the truck in the snow adds a nice white spot to provide contrast to the layout. So I have these Tim Holtz file folders, and my idea was that I really wanted the photo to sit on the file folder, and then you would flip the file folder down and the journaling would be in there, and partly on that 3x4 card. But I get hung up. It's such a simple solution, reprint the photo, Susanna, but I get hung up on that. So I've kind of assembled things the way that I want them to be down at the bottom of the page, and now it's time to build that swag. So I've mixed the red and the gold wreaths at the top there. We could call them doilies. And I just want to mix in the greenery to create that fullness of the swag up there that is just, it's just fun. It doesn't serve any purpose other than it's super fun. It's kind of like the kids are decorating the tree and I am decorating the page of them decorating the tree. So I want to have balance in color. I want to have balance between the gold at the top and a little bit of swag at the bottom as well. So you can see I've got some chipboard elements, I've got some tags, I've got some phrases, I've got all kinds of goodies this is actually from a Scraproom kit, the 49 and Market, as well as I have some additional pieces that I've added on my own there. So here is me struggling again with a very obvious solution that is not so obvious at the time. And so while I'm trying to mull that over in my brain, there we go. I did print them smaller. I just need to cut that down, and that works perfectly so that you just fold down that flip and my journaling will eventually be in there because I still have not journaled this page, but that's the idea. So I am going to now layer up this top part of the page and try and just create a semblance of symmetry up there and some balance as well. I will tell you, when you're fussy cutting the foiled elements, there is a clear protective layer that goes over it, and it does tend to come up, but you can just use some liquid adhesive and that glues down pretty quickly or pretty nicely. It also, you can cover it up with just some of these elements that I'm using here. So just putting a little bit of liquid adhesive because I don't want it all. I want that movement of the leaves. I don't want each and every leaf glued down solid. It does make it tricky to put into a page protector, but so what I do is I kind of, I don't fold, I curl the page and then slide it in so that most of the into the page protector so that it doesn't go straight down and get snagged on things. So trying to mix up the solid green poinsettias with that solid green swag or wreath there. I don't want to put them all on the same side, but then I also have to take into consideration the red that's in that truck as well. So you can kind of see a visual triangle being created there. I have a lot of that swag up the top, and you can see how the tree creates a similar sort of, it's a triangle, a point in a way. And so I want to have a similar point on the left-hand side of the photo that just unites the top of the page with the bottom of the page, as well as the similar texture that's at the top of the page down to the bottom of the page. So that's why I've got that swag tucked into the side there, and it's actually also underneath the photo. You'll see that, or underneath the file folder flap. And so it just, again, pulls that from just the visual layout as it is unopened into the opened file folder there. So for continuity across open and closed file folder. So you can see I'm working with these flowers, the flower dies without the flowers on there. I will put them in. I just wasn't sure if I liked the white flowers as well, just left with that little bit of whatever spray ended up happening on there. And so I'm deciding how many of them I'm just going to leave as they are and how many I'm actually going to put some red on there. So this particular pile of leaves, we'll call it for lack of a better word, not very technical. You can see I'm going to have a mix of both red and white flowers there, and just tuck that in there. So very close to the edge of the page, but not off the edge, so works perfectly. And then just layer up different layers of the leaves with different colors. And I'm not sure if I'm going to end up doing this off camera or if I end up doing it on camera. You know me and my finishing touches. I'm going to just put a red baker's twine bow, there we go, at the bottom there, just to add a little bit of that, little bit more red to the bottom there. And it pulls together what you do see of those stems of those flowers there. Pardon me. So now I am going to, again, layer up just as I did at the bottom there, a little bit for the top. And so I'm using some of the Not Sealed collection. I love these poinsettias. They're the perfect size to match and coordinate with these wreaths that I have here. And it fills up that white space there. You know me, I love white space, but that particular space was not a visually pleasing white space. It was more of an annoying white space. And that little bit of black in there with that jingle chipboard piece, because of all of the open circles within the wreaths, just kind of closes that off. And it also provides some contrast, some balance and contrast between the darkness of the tree and that black there. It pulls a little bit of black up to the top there. So I'm adding some double-sided foam to just cover up, well, I'm not really covering it up, but to add that tree there. There's a lot of shimmer up the top there. And so just to take away some of it, but leave visible bits of it, that's what I've done with that tree. So now I have some, because, you know, I don't have enough shimmer. I'm putting some sequins down the bottom again, just to tie the top to the bottom. And I'm using, these are just some glassine beads. They're black for the poinsettia centers that I'm putting down with liquid adhesive. And then you can see that I have those two open white spots in those swags, and I want to put something in there too, because they're kind of glaring white spots. And so I will use some of the rub-ons for that. But what I'm doing now is using some Nouveau drops to put the centers of the flowers. It's just a really pale mint bluey green that looks perfect in the center of those flowers. It's kind of that finishing touch that you just kind of go, mwah, and it's perfect. So you'll see that better in the close-ups there. Again, a little bit of a white spot that was visually disturbing. So, well, not disturbing, but it was annoying. It caught your eye, and that's not what I wanted your eye to be drawn to. So I've cut out some phrases, or I am cutting out some phrases. In the red swag, I'm going to put "love this most," and that fits perfectly in there. And just so those are rub-ons, and pull that off. Make sure you get it nicely rubbed on. And then the other phrase is a little bit longer. It's a full sentence going all the way across phrase. It says "deck the halls." So I'm going to cut that up so that it fits within my circle there. And that's the beauty about with a lot of scrapbook products, but rub-ons in particular, is that you can cut it up and you can't see that it's been cut up, because you can't see that. You still are able to maintain the gaps in the spaces there. So this is a layout that I created for both Spellbinders, as well as using some 49 at Market that is from the Scraproom kit. I will link you to the Spellbinder product below right now. It is actually on sale, some of it. So be sure to check out that sale. Enjoy the close-ups. If you have any questions about using the hot foil or how I used the mixed media, please don't hesitate to leave those in the box down below. This is probably my last video before Christmas, so if you celebrate, have a very Merry Christmas. Come back again soon. Take care.